Yo, what's going on everybody? Chadley here, and in today's Borderlands video, we're going to be looking at how you guys can make the gravity snare somewhat useful, because in all honesty, there is very little that you can do effectively with this action skill. For the most part, you will never be using this, but I did just want to show off a couple niche scenarios that I found this to actually be useful and kind of the best action skill to pick in that case. So most of the time, things like Gamma Burst, Rack Attack, and Fade Away are always going to be your better options. Rack Attack for spamming your action skill, Gamma Burst with Red Fang for keeping aggro draw, and then Fade Away for just being good damage and also just really good for crowd control with Not My Circus. All that good stuff is usually always going to be better than Gravity Snare, because Gravity Snare as a crowd control element really is not that good. It'll pick up the enemies for about a second or two and then put them back on the ground. It doesn't damage them and they're right back to shooting you. It really does not help you guys stay alive in any way, shape, or form. So I would not be using Gravity Snare for that reason. There is one thing that is going to make this action skill useful, and that is the augment forage. So you guys are going to need to put 5 points into Purple Tree to get access to it. But basically what this is going to do is whenever you get an enemy up into the air with your gravity snare, they're going to drop ammo, health, and shield boosters, which actually is really nice for some key scenarios. So with this video, I'm also going to kind of be showing off like a little bit of a build with this as well. And it's going to be utilizing this a lot. And then we're going to also pair that with wide net just so we can trap more enemies and get more of those boosters. So how this actually comes into play and be super handy is that with this build, we are actually utilizing rocket launchers, which chew through their ammo very, very quickly. So we basically have infinite rocket ammo without using a cut purse. And then also what we are doing is doing a red card and spark plug. So our shield is going to be broken all the time. But with those shield boosters dropping, we can go ahead and refill that even more and get more of the red card novas off. So real quick to show you guys exactly how this is going to work, all we're going to do is throw our snare down and then it's going to pick up these enemies. And as you can see, there are some boosters being dropped on the ground. There's one right there. And then when we go ahead and slam, we're going to be breaking our shields, but we can also fill our shields super easily if we happen to pick up a shield booster. But then most importantly, it is going to be incredibly useful for our rocket launchers, because like I said, these are going to be chewing through ammo, and all you got to do is make sure you keep using your gravity snare on enemies. And honestly, I would actually try to leave alive the enemies that are trapped in there, because that's going to drop more and more boosters for you and keep you guys full on ammo and also full on shields. So you just have to manage where those enemies are and make sure you are running over there and grabbing those boosters. So these ammo boosters are also just going to basically give you full ammo. So whether that's for your rockets and also your grenades. So as we can see right here, I have 6 grenades left. We're going to go ahead and let this guy drop a couple boosters. Hopefully we will get an ammo booster out of him. And as we can see, if we run up, unfortunately there was no ammo booster, but we will be able to get full grenades right there on that one. So if you guys are doing some sort of grenade build on M11 where you don't have more than OK boomer, this is something you can use to utilize max grenades at basically all times. So that's really the main way of making gravity snare useful. As you guys can see, as just a crowd control thing, it's really not that useful. These enemies are going to be shooting me, and then they're disabled for like a second and a half, and then they're right back to shooting me for 2 to 3. So overall, it's really not that useful as a crowd control thing. It's mainly just going to be used for all of these ammo and shield situations. Like I said, this video is actually going to be kind of part of a mini build type thing. Now, this build isn't something I wanted to share just completely on its own, because it's more just for fun. It's not going to be the best Flak build of all time, but it is a way you can utilize full Purple Tree, also the commandlet as well if you guys want to be using that, and then also gravity snare. So basically with this build, we're just going to be running rocket launchers. You can also use an OPQ if you still have one of those, or if you're watching this in the future and the Cartels is back out. This is great because what you can do is shoot the drone and get the shield break amp shot on basically all of the drone shots, which is really cool and actually does a lot of damage. But for 99% of the time, we are going to be running Plague Bearers and a Backburner. Just match whatever elements to whatever bosses and such you are fighting. And then also you guys are going to be running URAD with this. You can do this without a deathless setup, but in that case, you guys are going to be running consecutive hits on these. And then as our artifact, we're always going to be using the spark plug, and then deathless if you guys want to go URAD, and then if you guys are not going URAD, use an auto idle, either or will do the trick. And then basically for the premise of this build, if you guys have ever seen Psychotic Wolf Slam Cannon, we're basically utilizing that feature of a red card. In his case, use Snowshoe, but that was for healing with Bloodletter. We can't heal our shields off of that, so we're going to be using a red card. It's going to give us the most shield possible, and also whatever element choice we want, so we can have cryo, literally anything, just match to whatever you're doing. But in my case, cryo works best because you can freeze the enemies around you, and it will help you stay alive a little bit better. But then what you're going to do is just be slamming all the time, and every spark plug tick is going to break your shield, and then that is going to give you the on shield break amp shot anointment, which helps you guys do a ton of damage. So the more shield we have, the more amp damage we are going to be doing. And then since Gravity Snare is kind of hard to manage all of the time and make sure it's always going up and down, we're just gonna be using on grenade throw anointment on our grenade. And then I like the Hunter Seeker just because I can get ammo back and actually deal a ton of damage as well. And then for our class mod, the two that you're gonna wanna be using is if you guys have a Deadeye with a high 2-fang roll, that's gonna be awesome because you're always gonna be shooting out the double rockets, which helps a ton. But you guys can also use a commandlet. I've used this a ton, and you guys are going to want the capstone on this because this is going to help increase our shield capacity when we activate our action skill, which in turn is going to lead us to more amp damage. So either of those will do, and I highly recommend weapon charge speed on here for the plague bears. That's going to help you guys a ton. And then just real quick, looking at the skill trees, we're going to go full purple all the way down to the bottom. Now, the main thing to note is we only have 1 point in a monkey do. There's no difference for Flak on 1 point versus 5 points in here, so we're not going to waste points. And this is a Flak centric build, not the pet. The pet is just going to help us deal the monkey dues. That's about all our pet is going to be useful for. And then for our pet, we are going to be using the bull loader because that's going to increase our shield by 20%. And then for the rest of our skill points, pretty standard orange tree here, just with maxing out 2-fang because we're using single projectile rocket launchers. And then just a little bit into blue tree here for extra damage. You can move some of these points over here to green tree and get lick the wounds, but you are going to be missing out on some damage. It's completely up to you. I don't really have trouble getting up. You guys are going to be going into fight for your life quite a bit, but you will not have any sort of trouble getting back up. So real quick, just to show you how to utilize this build, all you guys are going to do is slam in the middle of enemies and then just make sure you're throwing your nades and shooting your shots. You're easily going to go down quite a bit because we are just going down to 1 health, but as you can see, we're immediately back up. And as long as you guys are spamming those rockets, you're not going to have any sort of issue. Most of the time, you will get instantly back up. Otherwise, just spam them. You do not have to worry about ammo in any way, shape, or form, combined with the Hunter Seekers and also forage on our Gravity Snare. Also with Groundbreaker, you guys are going to be dealing a lot of damage with your slams as well, and not to mention just the red card damage itself. So do not be afraid to just slam right in the middle of enemies. It's going to help you guys deal a ton of damage, and also you can use it to kill bosses if you have a lot of Groundbreaker built up. Yeah, guys, I just want to show you the one way I knew of making Gravity Snare useful. Otherwise, I do not recommend using Gravity Snare outside of scenarios like this. Basically, you're just going to be using it for shield boosters as well as ammo. Otherwise, definitely stick to the other 3 action skills. Also, hopefully you guys enjoyed the little bit of a mini build video in here as well. I have been having a lot of fun messing around with this build. It's really dumb, but it actually works fairly well for the most part. The only thing I don't use it for is just like solo bossing. It doesn't really work too well there, but for takedowns and general play, it definitely works pretty darn well. Yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. It really helps me out. Also, consider subscribing for more Borderlands content, but I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.